this kind of angle going on. If I find if I lay the coil, again, right on top, flat, my fingers, as much as I would like to think that they can control 50% and 50%, it never ends up 50%. So you know, basically what happens is my piece starts splaying out. And that's always like a train wreck out of control. And to Lois's comments, like I think that it is like a rewarding thing for me to actually take my time and think about things. And of course, listen to 5,000 different podcasts. I learned a lot about dating today, which some people do. You can tell me about it. We can have a secret podcast club for that too. But again, I'm just going to add one coil on here just really quick to keep the game alive, keep the dream alive. And then down, 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 down. My dogs are like, why are you telling us to go down? We already are down. So I'm just going to go do this one little thing here. And then I'm going to talk about something else. So the other thing that I do on the inside of the piece, well, I smooth things out, I bellow things out on the inside of the piece. Apologize, I'm actually meant the outside of the piece. Is that what do I do with like this? Do I leave it fingerprinty or do I make it smooth? My feeling is that, I don't know about you, but I think I'm an artist. And I actually think that you're an artist and that you make things with your hands, and that's okay. And even if you throw, I mean, you look at Jomon pottery, Japanese Jomon pottery, and you can like see the fingertips and the prints in there, and it's so beautiful. And I think there are some theories about maybe that it was women making the pots just based on the size of the like fingerprints. You know, and sometimes when you look at like drawing and painting on certain Asian wares, it's like, who did that? Like, did a kindergarten kid do that? Or did like a master do that? Or is it so sophisticated, unsophisticated that like they learned how to make it unsophisticated? Fascinates me, fascinates me. So I don't like to like, I just figure that's what industry's for. It can make a fucking mold of things and make it perfect, right? And you can smooth out all the lines. And I worked for somebody in New York who does some mold making. Maybe she still does now. I don't want to drop names there, but so I don't like mold making. Whatever. I understand it, and I think that if you do it, it's awesome. But the only thing that I do with the outside is I take my like the back end of the serrated rib, and I kind of scrape away little bits and bobs here and there. Like, but I like to let some of the imperfections dictate what's going on. This includes even cracking. Like I'm not using this, but I do sometimes like get these weird, strange hairline cracks. But instead of like us Westerners just checking it out and it's gonna start all over again and this is worthless, also check out the Instagram feed of Mr. Andrew Baseman, who's talented in so many fucking ways. You will just have your socks blown off. But he has a thing for repaired historical ceramics, you know, with those crazy metal staple things, which I would like to learn how to do. So what I'm going to do with this piece is actually just sort of Julia Child it and put it away, and I'll work on it a little bit later. And I'm going to just, serrate rib the edge of it and give it a little bit of a bevel because I know I'm going to go whoop this way for a little bit longer. And I've got to I didn't even cut it. I just got this nasty strip of garbage bag plastics here. And I'm going to put that to the side. But I also just wanted to talk briefly about how do you stop, how do you finish off your piece at the top? I mean, again, nothing I say here is right whatsoever. But I can only just say what I do. And I'll just tilt this up a little bit so you can not see me, but you can see the piece, and I will bring it a little bit closer to here too. So you can see the whole full piece there. But at the end, we've got this situation going on, right? It's not particularly thin, again, I don't really care. It's going to sit on somebody's amazing something, piece of furniture, somewhere fabulous, and it's going to live a long and happy life. And who knows, maybe the chunkiness will make it last a little bit longer. But I'm up to about 16 inches here or so, and I don't want to go too much farther because, again, I could take out the kiln shells at the bottom and get like the full 17 inches, but I tend to just play it safe. Just safety first, fun second. And when I'm getting to the top, what I do are a couple things, and my coils gets a little bit thinner there, and I'm going to do the ribbity rib thing where I, give it a little bit of tooth there. And I really want to make a tooth fairy joke. I'm going to workshop this. Anyway, so I'm going to put this on the top here, you see? And I'm going to add, what I do is, say I want it to go to 16 inches. What I do is I build it to like 16 and a half, 16 3/4 inches, because what I found was, even like observations of my own hand building when I was young, and also students when I was teaching, was that you would get to this point and then all of a sudden just cut it off. And I'm going to talk about this not today, but maybe tomorrow or so, about like the character of a pot. You know how we refer to pots, it like makes sort of analogies that it's almost like human. It's got a foot, it's got a belly, it's got a whatever it's whatever it's got. I'll do some more thinking on how to present that. But oftentimes I find people just cut it off, and it's just the most unconsidered thing in the world. It's so anticlimactic, or like if you're reading a pot from the base to the top, or the top to the bottom, or you're starting in the middle and you see like some fancy design and you get to the top and you just see this shitty that's unacceptable. Think about how you want things to end. So what I do is I build beyond what I actually want to cut off. So give yourself a good inch, or sorry, half inch, 3/4 inch, and let's say that I've done that with these two coils here. So I got some doodad extras there, and I'm just going in with my thumb, going down, 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 and down. And this is where you get to create the first word of, say this is a paragraph or a story. You get to capitalize this, or you get to make it really subtle. You get to make it a T.S. Eliot poem. You get to do whatever you want to do, but you get to build the character of what the person's, not necessarily first experience. Like, not everybody's going to notice the rim first, but they're going to notice it as a detail. So don't make it suck. Like, think about it. What I do is, like, they're doing some blasting in the neighborhood, so it always disrupts everything. So what I do is I actually take my wee fingers and I actually pinch, and this is like just by pinchy pinch feel. I try to get things quite even, for one, and I make things a little bit thinner. So if you saw like when I turn the pot towards you, it was probably about 1/3 of an inch wide. Listen, you can make that, you can squeeze this to paper thin and then delicately cut it off. That's what people see, is that tiny little, it doesn't have to be paper thin. It can have a big fat rim too, right? You can finish it off that way. With this piece that I showed before, hopefully you can see, maybe that ring light's a little bit strong there, but oh, maybe, there you go. So you can see what I did was that I actually pinched the pot, so to speak, to make it look thinner. The rest of the pot is not that thin. The rest of the pot, I mean, the heaviness of the pot makes it a lethal weapon. You know, I could charge more for it too. But that's what I do, is like I pinch it thin. Also, sidebar, if you're gonna put leaves on your pots, if you're gonna like cut out slab leaves, can you pinch them to the edge? Unless you're like making big chunky, unless like that's part of it, is like you're making a big chunky thing. But I always think it's funny when people like make ceramic leaves and they just like wink, wink, cut them out, and they're like, ow, 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 which is one of, one day I'll have to have Kabir on and we'll just tell Kirk stories. Well, many people on and just tell Kirk critique stories, but one of my favorite reviews of a fellow grad student was like his whole midterm review was Kirk walked by and just was like, ow, 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 because the rooms were so unconsidered. So that's what kind of plays over in my head. So once I've got it pinched quite thin, and again, I can revisit this, then I cut it back to where I want it. Look at me, I'm just running my finger along there. And there's my guideline. You can use a fettling knife. You can do whatever you want. And speaking of fettling knife, if the clay is a little bit soft, and again, I like to work with it a little bit hard, but if it's a little bit soft, you might want to let it firm up, or if you, you could use an X-Acto knife if you wanted, but a fettling knife seems quite fine to me. Let me mention the name of the great Katrina Chater, who taught me at the Alberta College of Art, as it was then, that she is like the fettling knife queen. So you can take this sucker that you buy from generic store, and with any tool, like I have got like wooden tools and such like that. And if you got like a sanding belt or grinder, you can zzz and like customize it to whatever you want. But I seem to remember she has quite a collection of fettling knives that she would like take down to the metal shop and zzz, zzz. So they were like weapons of beauty for sure, but they were also like totally unique to her. And also, I'm not saying throw away your pin tools, but don't draw with your fucking pin tools, because they make one line and one line only, and it's like a one-hit wonder. So that's another presentation for sure. So what I'm doing now is I'm thinking about like the character of what I want this to be. I want it to be, you know, I could have it flare out. I could, in this case, I want it to go in. I want the eye to just go whoop, just the tiniest bit, and then, but what, hopefully you got that kind of, the point of the hint was to build a little bit above and then cut it, you know, take it back with a sharp thing. The thing about like just mashing it into place is it's lumpy and it's bumpy, and I suppose you could shave it down with, you know, like a rasp thing, which would make you a raspifarian. Stick with me. Come for the ceramics, stay for the food and the puns. But you could rasp it down and get sort of an evenness there. But, and again, I'm just using just the tiniest bit of water. And normally what I would probably do is not walk away, because I'm a workaholic, so I would work on something else for half an hour, go do something else for half an hour, and let this firm up a little bit. But because I can't hold you hostage here for that long, I'm just going to do that. If you're a stickler for getting things super even, sometimes I am, sometimes I'm not. I mean, it's sort of like 70-30. I kind of want it to be even this way. Also, my table has, you can see how it spins. It means my table's a little bit off. It's been that way for 3 years. I don't really care. So sometimes I finish things and I'm like, oh, that's a little bit off there. Oh well, whatever. And I just gently kind of curve it in there. But again, if it's too soft, you might need to give it a few minutes. I'm not a really blowtorch kind of person, so I have to exercise patience in that way. If you find that there's like a tiny little bit that's a little bit lower, you can just take that fat part, or that, you know, chunkier part down there, and squeeze it up till it gets. If you're really picky, you could take a board and you could give it a little, just to see where you're at, and then play around with it a little bit more. That's all that I think that I would like to talk about today. I mean, I could go on and on and on, but I've got a dating podcast to listen to. Dave Chang's got a new recipe club out. If you haven't heard that, he and Christine, they invite a chef, one of about like 3 or 4 chefs, and they spin this wheel, and they have to work with things like graham crackers or rice or whatever. So today it's rice, and so I'm kind of excited to get back to the food world. And I am so, if you get a chance to check out the feed and blog of Lady and Pups, she's actually a gal from Vancouver. I think I mentioned her yesterday, lives in Beijing. I bought a double waffle maker, and I made these scallion pancakes and then squashed them in the waffle maker and made the most insane kind of variation on her meal last night. So I'm going to try and get better at loading those posts into my website, but I need to clone myself first. So on that happy note, I hope that you have a great, today is hump day. I hope you hump something great today, because what else are we going to do, right? That's all I have to say for today, and I hope to see you and your pretty faces. And if you feel like any questions, you can lob them at me on the post at Forest Studios, or you can be my friend on Facebook too. That's okay. I like that too. Bye.